are you?
I'm good. Thank you for doing this. Where are you located?
Right. Nice to officially meet you.
Yes, we've been talking a lot. We have been talking a lot. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin. Well, where are you guys located right now?
Hold on a second. We're just going to move over here for you. What was that question?
Where are you?
Oh, we're at home.
Okay.
We live in Vero Beach.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we love it here.
Are you close to the beach?
Oh, yeah, we're literally like a mile and a half away.
Oh,
We live on a hill, so it's beneficial.
I'm on the Upper East Side of New York. It's been tough.
Yeah, we only have 90 cases in our county.
Wow.
So it's like mind-blowing, you know. But you go down to Miami, you got like 10,000, you know.
Right. We have, I think, 20. We have, I think, in New York City, 12,000 deaths, 14,000 deaths. It's been crazy. I've enjoyed bicycling around, but I'd love to be in Florida right now. Or anywhere.
Believe it or not, there's this town specifically has a lot of New Yorkers, and I'm actually originally from Connecticut.
Oh, okay. All right. And
I know New England quite well.
what part of Connecticut you from?
And New York. What's up?
What part of Connecticut are you from?
South Windsor?
Right on. Right on. And
Yeah.
so Vero Beach is where? Is it north or is it?
It's north. It's the next county. Well, it's
north of Miami. That's why.
Well, it's north of West Palm Beach.
Oh,
About 60
wow.
miles from West Palm.
So you're at Cocoa Beach. You're getting up to Cocoa.
Well, Cocoa Beach is a lot. We're 45 minutes or 45 miles to Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Cocoa Beach is like another 40 miles from there, or 20. I'm not sure, but we're in Indian River County.
All right. Well, that's beautiful. So do you go to the beach a lot? You probably do, right?
I'm I'm a homebody. I don't really go out much.
I go every day.
But my partner, yeah, he goes all the time. But I love the beach, but I'm also like I love the sereneness of nature. And this place isn't like overdeveloped, and they did a really good job of not overdeveloping it and preserving the beauty of it.
Wow. So you have sort of like a rural situation next to the beach, is what you're saying.
Well, it's they consider it a seaside village. So you have all the actual like commercial stuff on US 1 for the most part.
Right.
And then you go across to the land barrier or sand barrier where they don't have too many hotels. Gloria Esteban has a hotel here, and there is a Kimpton. So those are like the two biggest, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a good job where they didn't, they have like a limit as how high they could do the building, so that way it doesn't take over the views, and really beautiful, just landscape for sure.
Well, it all sounds nice, but I just don't know if it sounds nice for Bernie in 2020. Let me ask you. So your partner's name is Justin? Did you say?
Yep, Justin Donnelly.
Donnelly. So I have the spelling of that: Donnely, and you
double L's.
Double L's. All right. So let's begin. What do you guys? What do you want to ask? Do you want to say what you do for a living or something?
Why don't I give you to Justin first, and then he can give you his perspective, and then I'll do some additional.
All right. Good.
Insights.
Okay.
Here you go. Here's Mr. Donnelly for you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Donnelly, for doing this.
Hey, no problem.
Do you want to say what you do for a living or anything like that, or go through any background, or not really?
Not really.
Okay. What drew you to Bernie? What drew you to Bernie? When did you first see Bernie?
Well, just to interrupt, he's also a former U.S. Marine vet and a massage therapist. So yeah, he should get some recognition.
All right, very good.
Okay, so what drew me to Bernie in the first place? Bernie's ideals, Bernie's principles. Bernie, what he's pushing for is he would literally be the greatest potential we've ever had as a president, because he breaks apart the two-party system. The two-party system are really two wings of the same bird. They're both controlled by the establishment. Now, without Bernie, if it goes one direction or the other, we don't break free of the system. For us, it's mostly about breaking free of the system as enslaving humanity. That to me is the single most important ideal and issue in this world at this time. Breaking free of the 1% and then getting rid of trickle-down economics. Now, that being said, you're probably going to ask me about Trump, and if I put my vote, what do I like about Trump? I do like Trump for one reason.
Not all.
For one major reason.
The only one.
And that is he's exposing something deeper that's going on in politics. He's exposing that because it's so blatantly obvious that you can't even deny how foolish he is when he expresses this.
True.
So many people are being arrested under his administration. This is a good thing. This is exposing something very deep and dark that's been hiding in our country. And the Democrats have just allowed this to fester. For example, Obama with the greatest transfer of wealth, and we had no idea until afterwards. We were completely duped as a people until afterwards. Whereas with Trump, you can blatantly see and you can call him out on it, and we can do something about it with him as president.
What's the transfer of wealth under Obama that you saw?
Bailing out Wall Street.
The bailing out Wall Street.
Right.
It was
okay. Which was the economy going, which felt kind of necessary. But I do want to ask you about your first statements because they're important.
Yes.
What makes you think Bernie Sanders has the power to completely change the establishment?
I think Bernie Sanders has the power to change the establishment by bringing grassroots groups together.
Okay.
Bringing the people, because that's what our founding fathers. Yeah, absolutely. That's what the founding fathers created the democracy upon in the first place. He has the kind of vision that will bring new people into the fold and push us forward. He said that if he was to be president, he wouldn't be doing it like everyone else. He would be going down to different areas and getting new people elected, people with the higher visions, the higher ideals. So that to me, that says everything. And that's something that Biden would never do. Biden is just a puppet on a string. I mean, the guy can barely think for himself, to be quite honest with you. And I don't hate him. I mean, I feel kind of bad for him, to be quite honest with you, because he's just being propped up and pushed up into center stage, and I don't even know if he truly wants it. He doesn't have that zeal that Hillary Clinton did. She wanted it.
Right. He's been a lifetime politician, and he has certain ideals, and he has kind of feeling of decency to him that you may not agree that he has. But he, relative to this president, I feel he does. I want to ask you about the primaries that just took place. In certain primaries in the South, Biden won by like 80%, and this was all done with the black vote. What do you think about that? What does that have to do with the DNC rigging system?
I think that was mostly Obama.
Right.
Obama planned that perfectly for the southern states, he came out with his endorsement. And honestly, I hate to say this, but I just feel like people were voting for him based on Obama's because Bernie had the initial lead. He was on fire. And then right when Obama came out, boom, the tables turned. It was like perfectly planned almost.
All right.
In my eye.
But, Bernie himself, after losing a couple of primaries and mainly winning in California, where there was Bloomberg taking away from the middle vote, Bernie himself has said, if you don't vote for Biden, you're irresponsible. Why do so many people that are considered Bernie bros or, Sanders sisters don't listen to Bernie? Let's say you can't bring Bernie back. You're going to election. It's November 2nd.
I feel you. Mike really wants to answer that question.
I'm going to answer all the questions over again for you, but I'll let you answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have we both have our...
All right, so just ask that one more time. Just general gist. I have it. Just ask it one more time.
The general gist is that Bernie Sanders is trying to be a little bit stronger on getting the Bernie bros to support Biden, because he's a longtime politician, and he knows there's a big difference between these two. He doesn't believe that what you believe, that Biden is so much in the grips of the establishment that he's not different from Trump. He thinks Trump is very different from his old friend Biden. On November 2nd, we don't have Bernie back. Biden somehow manages to stay around. His health can be an issue, right? And we all know this. And you know, what makes you not want to vote, knowing that Trump will win if you vote for a third party or you write in Bernie? What makes you not want to do what Bernie is asking you to do?
Well, when Bernie was running in 2016, he was going hard. He was going hard at Clinton. You know, he was letting everyone know about how she's in with the establishment and everything. Now, this all kind of shifted. I mean, obviously, when Clinton was running, he was kind of forced, strong-armed by the DNC to support her. I feel like that's very similar to what's taking place right now. He's being strong-armed. And if you looked at his interview with President Obama and Biden, you could really tell. You could really tell in his eyes. He didn't fully feel that. He wasn't feeling it.
All right.
It almost looked like he was crying.
It's true. He wants to be president a lot, and he also believes in his ideals. You know, I think it was September, on the first day of Occupy Wall Street, a friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, there's something happening in Liberty Park. Come down." And I went down. And I was there on the first day of Occupy Wall Street and was literally there throughout the entire process, okay, and the entire movement that was in the park as it was happening, which was really stunning. It's safe to say that Bernie is the most Occupy candidate out there. He's the most, let's get into the 1% and say, you know, let's share the wealth. The old Huey Long thing, let's share the wealth. How can we get that to another candidate? Is it impossible? Remember, Bernie's 78. So he's putting together AOC and a couple of other politicians right now to say, let's vote for Biden if it's Biden, because this guy's horrifying.
And that's kind of where me and Mike stand with this whole thing. Is Bernie has done such a service in getting these grassroots organizations moving. You know, he can't
occupy. He's occupying, and that's good.
He can't do it all. He can't do it all for himself. So now it's going to come down to these certain grassroots movements and these leaders and pushing his ideals forward and never giving up. Never giving up. He may have to give up, and we understand that because we don't want anything to happen to him. He's old as it is, you know. He's done a great service. So we kind of just want to keep that service going and take it in our own way and just kind of fan that flame a little bit. You're going to see a lot of protests popping up. Not the stupid protests with guys with guns,
right?
Going to reopen America. That's retarded. But you're going to actually see real protests coming up, going after the establishment, going after the 1%, and that's coming. And that's personally what I'm going to be involved in doing. Mike isn't going to be doing that, but I will be part of that.
Do you ever believe that the 1% can be inspired to do 100 times better than it's doing now?
Yes.
And you know, and honor the good ones and humiliate the bad ones. When someone's not going along and someone's clearly greedy and is illegally greedy, you know, I say we bash the fuck out of them. Mike, I would agree with that. But when someone's good and we inspire good through, you know, through capitalist economy, and they do 100 times better, isn't that something we should be looking for? Because if we just regulate, it's going to be nuts.
Absolutely. Either way we spin this thing, I mean, obviously we see that the system that we have is not working. We see that. We're going to have growing pains in any regard. We're either just going to have to keep bailing out these corporations that are just controlling and monopolizing our system. Right. Or we're going to have to, you know, it's going to be hard either way. But the way I feel, the vision that I have, is you kind of have to create new systems. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be done in a day, but that's where the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. But we actually know that these systems that we have in place right now are not serving the majority of people, and that's the problem.
Right. I mean, I see that more and more capitalists are decent, but then I see a ton of greed and a ton of tax evasion and a ton of, you know.
And I mean, if they would agree to just at least pay their taxes, I mean, we would have a different prerogative right now, but the fact is they're not. They're trying to purposely not wanting to pay any taxes and just build their empires even more.
And then on top of that, Bezos firing everyone that struck. I mean, firing $15 an hour and $8 an hour workers across the country that are on strike. That's
crazy. That's what's going to cause these protests coming up in the future.
I will.
By 2021, we're going to have a completely different world. I can promise you that.
but it won't be completely different if we have this president as president. I mean, I think it's going to be. I'm trying to get around to the Bernie Bros and say, hey, if it's going to be Biden at the end, vote for Biden, because this guy is like we're lost in a guy's sales pitch. He just keeps selling that, oh, Obama's created these tremendous crimes. This has happened over the past few days. We must arrest Obama and put him in jail for 50 years. This is the worst of the worst. And I was okay with Trump at the beginning, but this guy's the worst of the worst. I'm not
going to deny that. I am going to go back to my original statement and say that sometimes in history, we need that wild card. We need someone to shake it up so much that people are just so uncomfortable and they have no choice but to come forward and do something about it. That's where I stand with Trump. I don't think anything he's done is good. Nothing.
How often does that really happen? How often do you get the revolutionary change? I mean, do we need 8 years of Trump for that to happen?
No, we don't.
Okay. All right. How do we get universal health care across, and how do we get more income equality across in your vision? Because those are the two big things with Bernie. It's universal health care. I can do a very good Bernie, and I might as well do it now. Health care and Medicare for all. However, I don't know what that actually means. So I'm going to consult my wife, who they tell me is named Jane.
Yes.
This woman following me around on the road, they tell me is my wife. Okay, I'm serious.
Honestly, this is where I'm going to have to consult my other half, because Medicare for all is not my specialty. It's not my vision of why I'm fighting for Bernie.
But you're an economic equalitist.
Economic equalitist, absolutely.
How do we get to economic equality?
How do we get there? Well, honestly, I believe by unions, pushing unions up to the top of these corporations, not having it manhandled by one man at the top, controlling the whole umbrella, and then his little, what do they call it, Mike? The group, the shareholders, the little shareholders that are just fighting for as much money as possible. Get rid of all shareholders, bring unions straight up to the top, have different disseminations from those unions. One person focusing on people, one person focusing on product, one person focusing on infrastructure of the business, and it goes on and on. There's a little tethers. I think that's how I see corporations in the future. In my vision.
In Bernie's voice, I will tell you, that doesn't sound like it's going to happen even in the next decade. So unions are wonderful. How can we improve unions so that they function better? Because there's so much corruption at the top.
Well, that's where democracy comes in. I mean, that's where true voting comes in. They should be voting for the union members, and these union members should be from the heart. I mean, it's that if people are intelligent, they would vote for the people who are coming from the heart, Right. Is it going to change in a decade? No, it's going to take decades of change. There's so many growing pains we're going to have, but it's better than the homelessness, the poor, the inequality that we have today. I'd gladly take that and shoulder that.
Well, there's something that we completely agree on. Income inequality has grown. It's got to shrink.
Yes.
Homelessness has grown. It's got to go to zero. We got to figure out zero homelessness in this country. Yeah. And maybe we should look at places like Norway, which is very high tax rate and it's much more socialistic. And then you're getting into a little Bernieism out there, and I do understand that it's but we have to be faced with the reality that Bernie, at least according to whatever happened with those returns that came in as we were watching the primaries. He didn't seem to win the primaries. And yes, a lot of Democrats banded together and said, you have to drop out, you have to drop out, you have to drop out. We can't have Bernie winning this. And they just thought he couldn't win. That was their philosophy. And I think that they agree with a lot of things that he's saying. But
I can't say for certain. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, of what you're saying. And I think the media plays a big part. You're right that maybe he wasn't the most popular, but his movement was growing and growing and growing, and every chance the DNC tried to take it down as much as they can through the media and through other ways. other politicians. I mean, we saw that day in and day out through his campaign. We did.
Something that we can agree on is that these younger Congress people coming in, like AOC, that represent more income equality and universal health care are a good thing and are definitely carrying the torch of the movement. This we can agree on. Because Bernie might live to be 95, but we don't know. He really seems like he can keep speaking like this for a long time.
No,
so is there anything you want to add to what you said? Are you definitely not going to vote for Biden no matter what?
Yeah, I believe that putting your vote outside of the two-party system is showing them that things are changing and people are no longer going to stand up for the way that things are going. So for that very reason, and that's right from my heart, I would never vote within the two-party system until we're in 2020, for goodness sake. We should have more than two parties representing our millions of people, if you ask me. That's just my personal opinion on it. However, that's how I feel about it. I'm just not going to vote within the two-party system.
All right, now
until it radically changes.
That with Obama, 25 million people of color.
Now, I will say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I will say, I fought tooth and nail for Obama. I fought tooth and nail for him. I was screaming his name to the high hell, and he just let me down. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. You know.
Do you ever see that these guys have to work within a certain element of compromise? So, in other words, you got 30 million African Americans and people without money insured with this Affordable Care Act, which is a significant thing. It's the first person ever to actually do something about health care. Theodore Roosevelt came up with this in 1912, that we should have universal health care. So it is not me who has the first bead on universal health care. I do say Medicare for all, but I would like someone to tell me what Medicare is so I can learn. Okay.
And actually, I amend my original statement. I would vote for Biden depending solely on his cabinet and depending solely on who his VP is. If he had a fully progressive cabinet, people with new visions instead of the elitists, if he put the elitists in this cabinet, which I feel like he is going to do and he will be doing, he's already talking about it, then forget it. But if he promises to at least do half and half, then he might have my vote. He might have my vote.
See him form a cabinet, and that would help a hardcore Bernie bro come to Biden. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. I mean, usually you don't announce your cabinet before you do something. You announce your vice president, but you don't.
Exactly.
It's good to hear you say that, because I always think the vice presidential choice is so important. I really do.
It is very important.
What's your idea of a vice presidential candidate that will work for you?
New young people. Yeah. New young people with fresh visions, fresh ideas. People like AOC, people like Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson, I would love to see her as VP.
Is she in California? Is she in California?
In California.
She's cool.
She could represent California. California is the progressive state. I mean, that's huge, and it was all Bernie. You know, if he could do that, then I might be sold. Actually, that would be where I would.
But what about Michelle Obama? It just wouldn't mean anything to you?
No, Michelle Obama. Obama burned my ass so bad. I never want to see him again. To be quite honest with you, because he lied straight to us, and I believed in it full-heartedly.
Why do you feel that?
I feel it's not fully his fault. I would always. I'm gonna forgive him. Mike is gonna get into it a little bit more, but basically he sold us out right underneath our noses. You know, he wanted to start a war with Syria, which is the New World Order stuff. But without getting too far into it, I just don't trust Obama. I don't trust Obama at all. And I don't trust Michelle Obama either.
But what you're saying is, if he can show you, if Biden can show you a progressive candidate and a willingness to do new things, you might be willing to consider him.
Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right. Have a wonderful day out there. And
as well. What's your name?
Mylan Henry Levine. Mylan is my first name. It's very
That one. I like the name.
And
Very
your
nice name.
What is your first name is
Justin.
Justin?
Justin for Justice.
Justin for Justice. Okay. Justin Connolly or Donnelly? Donnelly.
Donald.
Yeah.
Yep. Irish boy. Irishman.
Have a great time down there. Go to the beach for me.
Hey, I go every day. It's my world. Take care.
All right. Thank you for talking with me.
Thank you.